What if Tony Stark found the Omnitrix? Tony and Rhodey were on a Quinjet, both smirked at each other. They jumped and a green flash was seen as Tony turned into Stinkfly, while Rhodey was seen in his War Machine armor. The two flew to the entrance of the Stark Expo and landed. The crowd went wild as cheers were heard everywhere. Tony then made a speech of how he and Rhodey had secured world peace by stopping terrorists around the globe. After that, he goes on to speak about his legacy. After all of that, Tony and Rhodey were walking through the crowd, trying to exit the expo, where they saw a little boy called Peter Parker, who was asking to have his autograph signed. Tony smiled as he saw the young boy. He saw himself in him. The boy seemed clever and was wearing a suit headplate of Iron Man, but not War Machine, and he had a watch, the same watch that Tony had, the Omnitrix. Of course, it wasn't the real deal, it was just a fake knockoff, but still. Looking good, kid, Tony said, petting the head of Peter, making him smile adorably. Rhodey and Tony then made their way to their car, where they saw a woman standing in front of it. "What are you doing here?" Tony asked the girl, who flirtily responded, "Looking for you." Tony and Rhodey got in the car, with Happy behind them, in his own car. "Why?" Tony asked. "Here to serve you a subpoena," she said, as Tony looked at her as if she was an idiot. He had done nothing wrong. Rhodey grabbed the piece of paper due to Tony not liking to have anything handed towards him. Thanks to having wild wine, he could think clearly, so Tony thought about calling his lawyers and having them handle it while he went there to observe. "You are hereby ordered to appear before the Senate Armed Community tomorrow, 9 a.m. sharp," she says, as Tony smiles. "We'll be there to put your superiors in their place," Tony says as he drives off to Washington, D.C. It was the next day. Tony was now in front of the Senator Stern. Tony's lawyers were present, and with the evidence presented, Mr. Stark has full authority to keep the watch due to it not being owned by any human, and it cannot be claimed as such since the watch's materials cannot be found on Earth, therefore making it extraterrestrial. So for your attempts to steal from my client, Stark Industries will be taking the Senate Arms Community to High Court and suing you, Tony's lawyer said. Stern was mad. Hydra needed that watch. Can't Tony tell that it was for the greater good that Hydra take over the world? Suddenly, Tony's wrist started to flash. Omnitrix can no longer be used by any other individual. Recreation of Primus has been completed. What Tony didn't know was, due to the fact Primus didn't exist in this universe, the watch had been recreating Primus inside of him. The prototype watch needed to connect to Primus to get DNA and transform, but the new Omnitrix rebuilt Primus in its host, and Azimuth had set it so that only once can the Omnitrix rebuild Primus. After that, all information is erased. Therefore, Tony was the only person who had Primus stored inside of him. "What was that, Stark?" Stern demanded. "In case you haven't realized it yet, Stern, this one is new to me. I didn't make this watch, so I don't know what has happened, but it seems like nobody other than me can use it." Tony smirked as he saw Stern crush the table with his fist. "Moving on. The Iron Man and War Machine suits are to be handed over to Hammertech to be recreated for the greater good of the country," Stern said with anger. "Absolutely not. Iron Man Tech is Mr. Stark's personal creation and Stark Industries' patented work. We will destroy it if you think of stealing even a tiny part of the suit," the lawyer says. After that, Stern was put in his place. Tony walked out with victory, Rhodey and his team following him. As Stern started shouting profanities at him, Tony smirked. "Did you really think you shield dumbasses would get anything from me? Tell Fury that my new algorithm has detected Natasha Romanoff being sent to spy on me and my company," Tony said, knowing about Hydra but waiting until he could have a bigger enough team to take out the terrorist organization, as he needed to take out all of Hydra in one scoop if he wanted to end it. This wasn't like smaller terrorist group that once the main leaders were taken out, it would deform. No, Hydra has been going on for years. Captain America failed to take it down, but he, Tony Stark, the person who should surpass Howard and his creation, will be the one to take down Hydra. Ivan Vanko was seen calling Hammertech. He had just sent Justin Hammer's pictures of the arc reactor and proposed alliance to take down Stark. Hammer had agreed. Tony had made it home as he was relaxing his head on Peppers when suddenly Jarvis alerted Tony. "Sir, I have detected Justin Hammers making contact with Ivan Vanko, son of the man who helped Howard Stark create the arc reactor, but tried to sell it to the Russians. Your father then had him deportation for treason against the country. Both him and Hammer have teamed up to destroy you. They have managed to miniaturize the arc reactor," Jarvis says. "I see. Contact both Rhodey and my lawyers, as well as the police department. Both of us shall take Hammer down when that little Vanko guy arrives," Tony says. "Will do, sir. By the way, Miss Romanoff has sent another application. It seems Fury hasn't taken our warning seriously," Jarvis says. "I see." Jarvis recorded everything. "I'm gonna go and talk with the spider killing machine," Tony says, as the Iron Man suit forms around him. It was his defense for when he couldn't be an alien. Tony flew towards Natasha's location as he landed. "What the hell does S.H.I.E.L.D. want with me? I already told them that me and Rhodey won't be joining anything to do with you. We are doing this solo," Tony says. "Stop with your ego, Stark. Can't you tell that some things are beyond you?" Natasha says. "Aren't they beyond you? You're just a baseline trained to be a killing machine who grew a heart. Well, somewhat a heart. You're still doing Red Room level missions on civilians now, just for the different people. I might have indirectly, unknowingly killed people with my bombs, but you, Miss Romanoff, have killed people knowingly. Your ledgers are so deep that you won't ever be able to clear it. Your hands are redder than my Iron Man suit," Tony says. "Also, in case you haven't realized it yet, Mrs. Ego, I ain't doing it alone. I have my friend who's a colonel of the military named Rhodey helping me, who doesn't have an evil past, unlike most of you S.H.I.E.L.D. agents," Tony says, making Natasha clench her fist. "You don't know what I've gone through," she yelled. "You don't know what it's like to be manipulated by the people you trusted to make weapons to kill. I believed I was doing the right thing by protecting my country, because Howard and Obi would praise me. I would manipulate me into doing that. So don't ever bring up my past again if you don't want me to bring up yours, spider killing machine," Tony says as he starts to walk away. "The Avengers is the way for redemption. We can redeem our past, Tony," she says, trying to manipulate him. "I've got my redemption here. I don't need a group when I have my friends with me supporting me. The answer to your offer to join the Avengers initiative is a no. You could try to ask Rhodey, but I know he would say no as well, since there's no benefit for him. He's my friend and will support me always," Tony says, walking away. "You're a selfish, textbook narcissist. You think it's a game. You think you could do everything yourself. Let me guess, you saw Steve Rogers as leader and declined, seeing as your father cared more for him than you," she says mockingly, making Tony stop. "You know what, Natasha Romanoff? I know I can't do it myself, Mrs. Killing Spider, but I'd rather do it with people I trust rather than people who could end up like Obi and Howard Stark. And what you say about Steve Rogers? I could care less. My powers are better than his," Tony says as his suit forms around him and he flies away, leaving Natasha screeching that she, the most beautiful girl in her opinion, got turned down by the playboy narcissist. We now see Agent Coulson walking through the Air Force base until he saw his target, Colonel James Rhodes. "Colonel James Rhodes, I am Agent Phil of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm here to give you a chance to join the Avengers Initiative, a group of superheroes," he said. "Like Tony told Natasha, I will not join," Rhodey replies. "Perhaps you might want to rethink after seeing this video, Colonel." Rhodey looks at the video to see his mother with a sniper trained on her. "You would join. We weren't asking. We were demanding," Phil said. "Oh really? Look at your screen," Rhodey says, as Iron Jones was killing all of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents near the Rhodey's house. "Damn you, Colonel. We will get you and Stark under our thumb, no matter what it takes. No matter what happens, the Avengers need to be the group that people look up to, with Steve Rogers, Captain America as its leader," Phil said insanely. Rhodey would have had him arrested, but that would alert S.H.I.E.L.D. and would make them more on alert, and Tony needed them on alert if he was going to take down Hydra. Rhodey now agreed that Tony should destroy all of S.H.I.E.L.D., not just Hydra, as S.H.I.E.L.D.'s methods were no different from Hydra. and he thanked God that Tony had protocols to protect those who were close to him, which included his mum. We now see a plane landing in front of Stern and Hammers. Suddenly a fireball was seen before the plane could land, launched at the plane, blowing it out of the skies. Hammer, Stern, for trying to steal my tech. You are under arrest, don't bother lying. Jarvis got all of your calls with the son of a traitor recorded. The Vanko family was banded from the USA and you brought him here. You smuggled him into this country, Tony says in his heat blast form as Rhodey and the Iron Legion appeared, arresting everybody in Hammertech. The news then reported of Senator Stern and Hammertech committing treason against the country and smuggling in a known traitor of the USA. They were seen sentenced to prison for life. Tony and Rhodey were then seen walking into a shield base. Fury had called them. He was kind of pissed off. They were declined, but they were intrigued and they wanted to make Fury a fool of himself once again. When Tony walked in, he smiled mockingly at Natasha, while Rhodey did the same at Phil. The two agent duo glared at the heroes. Agent Killing Spider and Agent I will kill your mother if you don't join. And Pirate, it's good to see you, Tony said sarcastically. Mr. Stark, be serious for once in your life. You are a man-child. We are here to tell you that S.H.I.E.L.D. won't bother you again. We have decided that both you and Colonel Rhodes are not worthy of being on the Avengers Initiative team due to both of you not being team players and being unreliable, and therefore are a liability towards the Avengers Initiative. I guess these files don't apply to you anymore, Fury said as he smirked. Howard's constant put-downs made Tony eager for approval. He would prey on that and manipulate Tony into joining the Avengers Initiative. Okay, Fast and Furious. Thank God, I thought you'd never leave us alone, Tony says as Rhodey smiled at his surrogate brother. He had grown so much, he no longer needed approval of others, which made him unopen to the pirates' manipulation. Rhodey just wanted to kill Fury for trying to manipulate Tony, but he would have to wait until Hydra takedown plan was going to be commenced. Stark, are you not going to fight us? We just said you're not good enough, Fury said manipulatively. No, why would I fight you? I've finally been given a chance to get away from you weird psycho stalkers, Tony says as a flash of green was seen. After that, they left Fury banging his desk. What happened? What went wrong? It should work, Romanoff. You have a new mission. Get Stark and Chrono under our thumbs by any means necessary. And you, Coulson. There's a hammer in Mexico of alien origins. We can't let Stark get another alien artifact. Get there and secure it, Fury yelled. Yes sir, both of them replied. We now see Tony and Rhodey at a celebration ceremony where they got medals for exposing the traitors. But guys, that's all for today. Peace.